just like sharks. When they stop moving, they die. That's how you are, Carla. Save yourself.
Today on review, we're looking at DeadLight for Xbox Live Arcade. The game, first off, looks amazing. The use of the Unreal Engine is apparent from the get-go. The dark cutscenes don't take away from the beauty of the game at all, instead helping more with the mood. They are done in a comic book style reminiscent of the way motion comic movies look. Unfortunately, there's an overwhelming feeling of things being rehashed from the zombie genre. This isn't necessarily a bad thing overall, as it does a good job of taking a little bit of everything zombie related. The environments are varied enough for this type of game, and you'll find yourself thankful of this sooner rather than later. The reason being that some objects and or objectives can be hard to see in the highly detailed environment. This is due to how far back the camera is placed. Some of the environments, like the sewers, look as if they were pulled straight out of an anime. The game also has you running around in flashbacks, memories, and nightmares, each of which has its own slightly different art design and color palette. The use of red is great in highlighting important points in the story and isn't relegated to just the game's blood. It's used well to contrast against the bleak cityscape of Seattle. With that being said, you could take a screen capture of almost anywhere in the game and have an amazing background image to use. You start by killing a fellow survivor who has been infected by the epidemic. They also choose an interesting name for the undead. Instead of calling them zombies, they are referred to as shadows. This gives the overall story a fresher flavor as opposed to the same old we are used to seeing. You play as Randall Wayne, a man who is separated from his group of survivors at the beginning of the game. Your main goal is to reunite with them as well as find your wife and daughter. The story is delivered in three main ways throughout the game: dialogue during gameplay, cutscenes between areas, and diary entries that are scattered throughout the areas you are traversing. The characters are the same ones we have seen in all the zombie-based games, movies, and TV. They do little to differentiate them. You don't feel as if you were given enough time with anyone in the game to be emotionally attached to them. By the time you meet someone, 30 minutes later, they're gone. It doesn't help that you are so far away from your character on screen either. He is normally just a silhouette against a backdrop. You never really get a good look at any of the character models for that matter. In addition to detail in the backdrops is a breathtaking array of post-apocalyptic destruction in Seattle. This helps out in the puzzle solving as you can utilize different objects in the surrounding area to solve a particular problem. The problem comes in with some of the puzzles being bland. They usually go like this: find gun, walk a few feet, shoot off lock. Others have unlimited amounts of zombies rushing you while you have to jump, break, and shoot objects. It's a frustrating contrast to the better parts of the game. The gameplay is overall solid. I found no faults in the control's responsiveness under pressure. Survival is the name of the game. You'll find yourself running from the undead more often than fighting them. When you do fight them off, it's better be one-on-one though, as more than that and you'll find yourself dead under the overwhelming number of the undead. The animations are kind of a mixed bag. Some animations are fluid, like changing directions, and others are just repetitive, like hanging on a wire. You are given a staple of the genre in weapons, including axes and handguns. This works out well when dealing with the shadows, but you face off against other enemy types as well. The most annoying enemy being members of the Law, who shoot first and ask questions later. Why is it we always kill each other instead of the zombies? By far the most amusing enemy is a helicopter that chases you across rooftops midway through the game. It changes the gameplay to more of a parkour-based, run as fast as you can game type, the other types being exploratory and puzzle solving. The undead come from every nook and cranny in the game's foreground and background. The downfall of all this camera trickery is the load times. While the checkpoint system is great, you never find yourself too far back from where you died. The load times suffer. Early in the game, the loading is 1 to 2 seconds. You get to see a variety of still images during this, such as gas cans and baby carriages. As the action heats up though, they quickly jump to 10 plus seconds. This is painfully long. especially after a while of repeat attempts at a level. I felt annoyed that there was no real interaction with the foreground or background. Enemies come from both, but it would have been nice to see a little bit more 2.5D level design. Overall, the game was good, but felt far too short to be a Summer of Arcade lineup. I mean, $15 is a lot for a game that at most you'll spend 6 hours on. The replay isn't there either. On my first playthrough, I had collected over 90% of the items in each of the 3 chapters. The game needs to be multiple times longer for that price tag. The story's end was enjoyable, but the last few levels stopped being fun. The checkpointing was all of a sudden crappy, and off-screen enemies would kill you in one hit. It was an artificial hardening of a game that didn't need it. Look for it on a 50% off sale. I give this game a 3 out of 5.
It's cruel to leave him tied up like that. Let's put him out of his misery.
Take the shot, Randy. Let's do right by the poor soul. There's no glory in killing the dead a second time. This is just what it means to survive now.